What's your react? Uh-oh, I think we'll be going live here soon. There'll be
Oh
connection.
boy, I hope we're going live real soon. What if what if I don't make it till that
I,
time?
I think we made it.
What if right now we can't even talk to the people because I just died right here. It's like
Uh-oh.
now I don't
Watch
have it.
out.
No, I don't know.
That's not a
Hey,
great note.
yeah,
You
I
want to
know.
get
Hey,
that?
Scott and I were talking just a second ago about, it's not it's not what happens to you actually in life. It's how you're going to react to it. Reacting to what? I was making an example of people losing something in their house and they go a little crazy before they even know. They say, remember, because we hypnotize ourselves. When you say, I can't do something, your unconscious mind cuts it off and you can't find it because you just told yourself you can't find it. Now, I've been around people, and I'm not naming any names, but I've been around people who say they lost their keys or they can't find their wallet or they can't do something and they start panicking. I mean, literally start yelling, screaming, whatever, reacting when I tell them, listen, and it's not always necessary. If you tell somebody to calm down, they blow you off and say, you don't know what I'm going to. Yet, if you actually just calm down for a second and don't and and make sure you keep calm. And I was going about to say, don't panic. And when you're hypnotized, you just hear panic. So there's a lot of things we know that studied to help us deal with all this stuff. Yet, so how are we going to react to whatever happens? It doesn't matter because the truth is, every single day, probably something will happen that's not 100% perfect. And the other thing is, throughout our lives, I have never heard of anybody having 100% no no problems, no anything. And so that the subject today is how you're reacting to your environment, whatever happens. And Scott and I are suggesting, before you blow up and overreact to something, take a moment and say, how will that work for us? Because if you get to that crazy part, it's not going to help your thinking. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, there's a couple things that I wrote down over here. And well, when I was in San Diego, we were going over how to write persuasive writing. And then the coach was like, "Oh, give me something I can write about." And the girl rose her hand and she said, "Anxiety is not a thing." And then he wasn't convinced. He was like, "What do you mean anxiety is not a thing?" Well, basically, anxiety is feeling like you're not prepared for whatever or anything that could possibly be happening, right? So you go into a panic. And basically how we explained it is that it's basically all in your mind and living in the moment. And then what can you do with the moment that you have? Even if you were to, what's the worst possible scenario that could happen from whatever the instance is, right? Well, nobody's perfect. First, we want to understand that. And then whatever does happen, right, it'll only make you better for the next time you have that experience. So panicking and anxiety is going to put the blinders on so that you won't be able to see the answer that you need in the time that you're in. So it's mindfulness, really. And it was so funny because when that speech was over, we went on a little break, and then I was talking to the guy beside me. He's like, "Yeah, anxiety is not a thing." And I was like, "Well, how did you learn that?" He said, "Karate," because you have to be in the moment. If you're already worried about what punch is coming, you can't worry about the punch that's coming in the moment, not anticipating, but reacting in the moment. So basically, this also leads into a metaphor, right? Jeff, we've talked about this metaphor before. Um, Somebody had lost their keys, which is something that you said, and they're outside in the street, and there's a
Love that
street light
one.
on, right? There's a street light on, and then you come by, and you're like, "Oh, what happened?" He's like, "Oh, I lost my keys," but and then and I'm like, "Okay, did you lose them outside?" No. Well, where did you lose them? In the house. Well, why are you out here? Because that's where the light is. So maybe sometimes if you use anxiety, you can't think straight enough. And that's why we have coaches, right? To help you get past whatever hurdles that you could be having. And it may be common sense because my coach told me a lot of common sense things that I already knew, but yet coming from the coach, it was like, okay, well, this this cleared the path. What for whatever reason, I had all this information, and yet I wasn't seeing it clearly because I didn't have the right person, putting their stamp on it. So if you have lost your keys, you probably don't want to go where the light is. You want to take the light and shine it into the house where you can find the keys, because I think you had something that you had lost recently as well.
Yeah. So there was something I lost as well, and actually I was talking to Scott yesterday, and I said, you know, I'm not going to panic. This is what I tell other people as coaches, as people who help people. We have to practice what we preach, or we probably ought to quit preaching it. So, uh, so anyway, most everybody around me, when they start just going off the wall because they lost something or something, first thing, if you ever say you can't do anything, you pretty much putting in your unconscious that you don't want to. So stop saying can't and start saying I'm working on. Okay. So when you say I can't find the keys, you could do it a negative hallucination. You could be looking straight at your keys because you said you can't find them. Your unconscious says, okay, he doesn't want to find them. Bum bum. And the thing I was looking for something, and uh, do you know actually where you find everything you're looking for? It's the last place you look. Anyway, so what I was saying to Scott yesterday, because I could have panicked or I could have got all pissed off and started just throwing crap because I didn't find something when I wanted to. Yet I knew I would find it. I knew, and I knew if I stayed calm, I would go around and I would look. And also, it's good exercise. You look everywhere you're exercising. Also, you're cleaning. I clean as I sort. I was also telling, this is off subject, but in and out, like at a restaurant, in and out. You bring your dirty dishes in as you carry your other food out. So everybody works as a team, getting two things, not really wasting any time. That's so what I was doing. I was also cleaning at the same time because why get upset? You need to clean anyway, clean the stuff, and sooner or later it'll be unveiled. And what I found was the first place I looked it was just behind a sheet of paper, and I was looking for a disk, that goes into a computer, and I found it like probably an hour in, and I went back and I said, it has to be here because I know, just like I told everyone, if it was here before, it's still here somewhere. And then I found it. And then I actually found the other thing I was looking for at the same exact time. I was looking for some passcodes in a book, and I found the book that put them in. And so I hit 2-1. I'm going, wow.
So
So
yeah, if you would have let that in, it would have been anxiety, right? Instead, you said, I'm going ahead and find this, because it's probably best to trust your subconscious, or some people call it instinct, right? That that you have it somewhere. I'm getting to the point with my DJ company that I have so many different things that I like to place certain items in certain spots so that I don't have to worry too much about where they are. And if I have to find something that I haven't used in a long while, I have an idea of where it's at, and then while I'm looking for that, I can clean that area and then refresh my mind with what I have going on, because at the point it's expanding so much that um that having this type of mindset is helping me out a lot. And as you get more things, and as you grow and have more more clients and stuff, you're gonna want to be able to have some sort of way to categorize what you're looking for. And if you just tell yourself that you can't do it, then that's not going to help you anyway. In fact, in order to be successful, everybody has issues. Everybody has something that gets in their way, or a hurdle. Now, do you want to be a problem solver, or do you just want to give in because something didn't work your way at that moment? And if it doesn't work that way at that moment, you know how to correct it for next time. Because if you weren't, you know, going down a path that was unfavorable, then you wouldn't be able to figure out what the favorable path is. And I'll give you an example. I used to always have my keys somewhere in the office, and I didn't know how to find them when I needed them. And I would get so upset and frustrated, and that wasn't helping me. But yet inside my NLP classes and coaches, they were like, well, get a hook. So, sounds pretty obvious, right? Yet it didn't dawn on me. So now I have keys for every single one of my vehicles, and when I come into the office, they just go up there. So depending on which vehicle I need for the day, I know they're all there. And yet at the same time, if there's an empty space, like there's no key there, I go, okay, let's go find that key and put it back up there so that I know where it is next time I need it.
Good thing. I do too, actually. So we have the same system, and most people figure that out. And finally, my girlfriend figured that out. So because we've had that problem looking for her keys before, and we do put it on a hook in front. So actually, I have several cars. So what I do is in front, I put the keys that are for the cars in front. In back, I put for the keys in back, so I don't get them confused. Not that they very confusing because each car has its own key. You know what I mean? It's not like you couldn't tell the keys apart. Yet, very good idea, and also uh, organizing anything. That's even in learning. You know, we got the swish pattern in NLP that instead of how would you rather react. So
You want to explain
instead,
the switch pattern?
well, basically, let's just go real simple is what would you rather think than what you're thinking at this moment? Let's just do that so simplified that how would you rather think? So when you, as an anxiety thing, start panicking, I'm just going to throw a bunch of stuff out. We have all kinds of tools. We have bilateral stimulation. We also have 7-Eleven breathing. We have faster EFT tapping. We have havening. There's so many things you can do to calm down. And yet, what I was saying is basically, if you start panicking, it's going to be much harder to get whatever you want done. Just take a few breaths, relax, and say, "I know I can do it. I just need to take my time." And you can do it the way I did it. You can do it any way that works for you because all through your life, things are going to come up. And again, it's not what happens. It's not, I can give you an example. I have a pinched nerve I might have to have surgery on right now, and I'm not panicking, and I'm going to go to the doctor or the surgeon tomorrow and find out. Uh, there's things that happen to us all the time. It's how we're going to deal with it. This is why I was promoting all this time, all these years. Me and Scott's been talking happiness resilience because when something occurs like losing an object or have to maybe have a surgery or your car breaks down or several cars break down. I've got some of those issues. You don't get so upset. You say, and one of Scott's coaches said the other day that really at the end of the day, kind of what Jeff's saying is that, you know, be happy. You're still alive. You don't have guaranteed till tomorrow. So make the best of each and every day. And what our beginning of this is why, if you are, and we're not accusing you of it, but if you are panicking, we're suggesting maybe take this approach and see if it works for you is calm down before. Why make a storm when it doesn't have to be? And just say, hey, I know the keys are here somewhere. I know the envelope's here somewhere. I know I left it here. I know it's here somewhere. And I don't have to panic about it because you don't. You choose your emotions. You say, I can't choose my emotion. It's bullshit. Seriously, you can choose your emotions. Did you know if you're sad, you can just get up and jump around and you're going to be a little bit more happy? Physiology. So I said that wrong.
Physical physiology.
Yes, physiology. Uh, when you change your physiology, you change the way you feel. So again, like if you're panicking, all you have to do is take a few breaths and calm down and say, is this helping me? So ask yourself, is the way I'm reacting, is it helping? And Scott and I have this joke for
Well,
years. How's that working for you?
maybe somebody panicking and helps them to find their keys. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a rare case,
uh,
right? Yet still
yeah.
possibility
Uh,
because you
I,
want to. Okay, so if panicking helps you find your keys and that's the end goal, then by all means, do whatever feels fit. Yet if panicking is giving you more gray hair, and then that's not something that you want, well, we're saying, well, slow down, mindfulness, breathe, and back to the switch pattern or new behavior generator and NLP. Basically, if you're acting a certain way and you don't like the way that you're acting because you didn't get the outcome that you want, then what would, like, go back to that situation, right? And then reanalyze all the information and what happened in that moment. And then ask yourself, did you get what you want out of that, or was there a better way? Because we do something in NLP called first person, second person, and then fly on the wall. And what they mean by that, like if you were to go back into that situation and analyze how you were feeling at that time, what new information would you get, from how you reacted in that moment? And then if there was somebody else that you were talking to or somebody that was in the room, what perspective or what do you think they got from you acting that way, whatever way it was? And then you would want to, again, this is all while you're meditating or hypnosis or whatever works for you. And then let's say there was a camera or a fly on the wall that was watching this whole thing go down, and what information would you pull from that, and then what was the outcome of that, and then you would check and see if that worked out and got you the end result that you wanted. If it didn't and you think it could have gone better, then you would take those values and resources and whatever information that you got from that experience and then start to apply that to the next time you have that experience. And yet they do say there's a trigger, right? So in NLP, right, we talk about past experiences and emotions and how you categorize everything. But basically, if you were to go back through all the times in your life when something like this happened, you'd want to go back to, what do they call it, the most dramatic time this happened, or the very first time this happened, which sometimes both of those are the same thing, because you didn't know what the outcome could be until you had this one time happen. What, ISE, initializing stabilizing event, initial.
The initializing event. Well, I'm
Yeah,
saying
I thought it was ISE, initializing stabilizing event, and initially
not stabilizing, initializing. It's the event that at first happened.
is usually
It's
the most
occurring.
dramatic.
It first happened. Usually, it's between 3 to 6 years old, somewhere in there, or even younger. And then that's an initial sensitizing event. That's what.
Sensitizing area, ISE, initial sensitizing event. There you go. Yeah,
And
right. Right.
then that's the first time it happened, and then what occurred to make it happen again. And then if you're doing a regression, you're going to bring it back to the first time, and maybe
So
bring.
basically, you're acting like this now because of the ISE, initial stabilizing event, sensitizing.
Not stabilize.
It's sensitized. All right. So you're acting like this now because you had an event happen, like a dramatic event happen to you when you were younger. It could have been the first time that happened to you or something really dramatic, other than that. But normally it's the first time because you didn't understand what that was until it happened, right? So with all this information, again, if you need a coach, hypnosis, NLP, understanding how anxiety works and what you could do about it, but you would go to this most recent time that it happened and then ask yourself if you would like to behave a different way. And then by taking in all the information from that event and then telling yourself what would work out better, and then a new behavior starts to form as you become conscious of whatever's going on. Now, when you think about new behavior generator, it's kind of like like marks in the field, right? So let's say you have a tractor that goes out, does the same path every single day. So those tires are really like digged into that field, and you could tell that's what the path of the road is. Yet you've decided that you don't like the outcome from this path. So you would understand and start to veer towards the direction that you want and then create new paths in the road. And yet it's not going to, well, it could happen overnight, or it could switch for you if you snap your fingers and tell yourself you want to be something different. But yet you'd want to understand whatever that trigger was so that you can then in your mind say, oh, I'm not going to act like this now. I'm going to act like this because we've already talked to ourselves and said, hey, this is a better path for us to go. And that is, well, I won't say the cure to anxiety, but it's definitely something you could throw at anxiety to erase it from your history. There's a little NLP for you.
I don't know if we erase our history. Sometimes you can change your history, but that's a different one too.
History. Yeah. Okay. Here's another thing. The only time
rewrite your history. Yeah.
The only time that you don't rewrite
Oh,
memories
yeah.
is by
You
not going.
cannot visit a memory at all, and you change your memories every single time you cannot not change a memory if you go look back at it. So, but that's a different topic right now.
I mean,
So
we drive right off the deep end and I'll
yeah, we
continue.
just go here off to everything. We'll be here for 6 hours here. Uh, but back to he was talking a little bit. We were getting a little, a bunch of those mixed in. We were doing a little regression there. We were doing a
And
little
I guess that's the curse of knowledge,
vivification.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's just so many different little tools there we can use, and we can add them together. Basically, what I always say with the person in front of you, just do what works for the person in front of you because there's so many tools out there. It doesn't matter which tool as long as it helps you. So what when we help people or when other people help people, what they're trying to do is find that's right for you. Because like Scott did mention, which I can kind of agree with, but I mean panicking, if that really helps you, I don't believe it does. But if it really does help you to get to the end result, go ahead and panic. Yet at the end of your panic, just understand calm down. Go ahead. If it's going to give you motivation, moving away from something towards something, so use that energy that you did and just calm down and go focus
Oh,
on what matters. Go ahead.
now that's another thing too. A lot of people may get confused because they're, looking behind them, right? So I'm moving away from something. I'm moving away from something. Well, and I write about it in my book. Well, you can move in any direction. It could be worse than what you're moving away from, right? It could be in any direction. Like, oh my God, if you keep looking back, yet if you set a goal and you move towards that, you're still moving away from what you don't like, yet you're moving towards what you do want. So
We're going right there. It's so we're going to throw a little bit in there. And again, it's like what it really is what you focus on, you will find. So if you focus on, like, if you focus on
like your
panic,
keys.
you will find, yeah, you will focus. No, if you focus on panicking, you're going to panic more. But if you focus on calming down and just realizing, I still go back to the our little joke is how's that working for you? Now sometimes that can really upset a person. How's that working for you? Because it could be a little insulting. Yet really ask how is that working for you? And if it's not working for you, that's when we say, because then we go back to insanity. Do the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. Then that's insanity. That's so if you're doing the same thing and expecting a different result, it's probably not going to work for you. Okay. So you'll have to do something different. You got to change something. I hate that word got to. You might want to change something
Oh
to
yeah.
see.
A
Yeah.
lot of people think that somebody else is going to fix it for them. You're the one,
Oh gosh. Yeah.
right? Like if you want to change, I mean, it's kind of like do you want to take the red pill or the blue pill? I mean, if you take the blue pill, you can just go back to what you were doing and keep getting the same results. But you could take the red pill. It might be a little uncomfortable, but you might get some different results. It may be a little uncomfortable in the beginning, but yet there could be some sunlight at the end of that tunnel. There could be. Yet if you want the blue pill, you just keep on going that way. If that's working for you, or up to
This
you.
we've veered so many places here today.
Well,
Let's
all
go.
of that.
Let's go back to foundation, but and we'll go back to foundation. Really where we came in here is at the very basis. What we said today was, how do you react to the environment that comes into you, and you choose the way you and what I'm saying on my side, and Scott can say what he says. But what I'm saying is, if if I don't believe screaming and yelling and stuff is really helping you. Now, if that does really help you, and then you calm down and find your keys, fine. Yet, there might be a better way. So, I'm saying is just take a chill pill for a second, and take a breath, and say, is this really going to help me to start yelling, screaming, throwing stuff? And if it's not, then do the other. Go
Well,
ahead.
sometimes in order to make a change, you have to get mad about it. So you have to
Well,
want that. You have to want that change so bad that you're just willing to do whatever. And sometimes what was it? Richard Bandler, right? Richard Bandler, like one of his stories, and it was the metaphor was to tell you to get mad about it in order to change. Is that he went in? Now this is a metaphor. I don't think it's true, but anyway, he went into the hospital, and they said they couldn't get this guy out of a coma, and then he went and took a hammer and like hit him upside the knee, and then he woke up. So yeah. So in order to change state or in order to jump the tracks, you're going to have to do some drastic things if that's the path that you're going on and you want change. Again, you have to be at threshold, right? Which is I've had enough. It's time for a change. I'm the one who makes the change. And then you're going to have to get mad about it in order to do it. Now that's more on goal setting than it is anxiety or how you're reacting. Yet sometimes people have to be shook up to get out of that coma. Let's go. That kind of thing.
Okay. I would say a little
But
drastic with that.
Well,
But
yeah, I mean, different than finding your keys, because if you tell yourself you're not going to be able to find your keys, then how's that helping for you? And then again, all these different personas, you would want to wear a different hat depending on the circumstances that you're dealing with and what your desired outcome is.
what do you want?
And what are you willing
We
to do
go
to
back.
get it? And
What
what
do
are
you
you willing
want?
to do?
What do you, yeah. So again, remember today is the day you have, and make it the best day you can every day. You know, that's then we go into regret. It's like if you don't live your life to its fullest, whose fault is that? Take responsibility for your own stuff and the way you react and the way you if you overreact, understand is it really helping you? And if it is, go, what we did today is a discussion. We didn't really go which way's the right way for you because you know why? We don't
Everybody's
know.
different.
We don't know what's the right for you. It's inside of you. The
That was
answer's
me playing
inside of
devil's
you.
advocate. Maybe panic works. Maybe. I
Yeah.
mean, it's very. I would say it's a small
Well,
percentage.
that first metaphor you did, with the light, they're shining the light outside, or they're looking for the keys outside. It's because people look outside themselves for the answer, and really the answer's inside of you. How are you going to react to this? And it's about you. It's about how are you going to react to whatever comes to you, reacting to whatever's coming, the environment. So you get to choose that. And some people don't believe there's a choice. There is. So if you find yourself overreacting, calm down. If you find yourself underreacting, charge it up. Whatever works for you. It seems so simple, yet it's so complex, and that's why each individual is different. So that's why we have so many tools to work with, because what works for one person might not work for another. We just kind of did a whole discussion on like just this could be packed out to like 6 8 hours, seriously.
Yeah, you could go in a wormhole into each individual thing that we talked about. And basically we've been doing that for years together. And then we're only leveling each other up with when we do it. So that's basically all the time we have for today, guys. If you need help, write something down below. That was the biggest thing I learned in San Diego, is that the universal law is reciprocity. If you do good for people, it will come back to you. And that made me take a different approach, because learning flying all the way to San Diego to get the information that I got, and for the guy to tell me he bought a Phantom Rolls Royce for 350,000 and it didn't cure his soul. He just returned it and said, I want to live by the universal law and to be happy. He also wants to trim the fat, have less responsibility, and just live a happy life. That's basically what I got from this California surfer hippie dude. And the guy's made millions. In fact, he broke records. And all the internet marketing that you see online today came from him. And he's like, I just want to live a happy life.
So there's the key at the end of the day. What's making you happy? What are you doing to keep it? We were also talking today a little bit about happiness resilience. If you work on your happiness, which is a skill, it's not a given. Your unconscious doesn't care if you're happy, it cares if you're alive. So, what are you doing each day to bring your happiness level up? Because when something happens, what's not so happy can bring it down. Yet, how long does it take to get back happy? So just like my neck or just back my lower back or whatever, or all the things that we go through each day. So work on your happiness. And here's one thing I'm going to throw in. If you have a value of kindness and you help other people, you're actually helping yourself. So help the world, help yourself, and be as happy as you can from the happiness coach. And Scott,
Well, there
wrap
you
it up.
go. Once again, guys, if you more information, come over to the website. We had a Facebook group. We were streaming inside the Facebook group, but we figured we could reach a bigger audience by streaming to the YouTube channel. And then, well, here we are. If you need help, Jeff's a great NLP hypnotist, happiness coach, whatever else is in that bag of tricks. And of course, I was able to build my business from all the tools that I learned from all these coaches, internet marketers, and the list goes on. So we're here for you. And